The border wall and immigration as a whole is a hotly debated topic. Today I will be discussing some of the pros and cons for a border wall, as well as the overall history of the border. During the 19th century, the U.S.-Mexico border was completely unregulated. People freely crossed for trade, work, and settlement. In the late 1800s, barbed wire started to be put up, but this was only used for cattle control. In 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed. This caused the end of the Mexican-American War, which forced Mexico to give up much of its land, creating a new borderline. The use of a border started as early as the 1920s, with the United States Border Patrol being established in 1924. During this time, the U.S. constructed small fences near urban areas like El Paso to deter livestock crossings and manage smuggling. In the 1980s, the war on drugs brought a rise to drug cartels. In the next decade, immigration started to increase, causing the U.S. government to implement the prevention through deterrence policy. This policy would make Border Patrol focus on more specific areas, which would force illegal immigrants to cross through more dangerous areas. In 2006, President George W. Bush put into place the Secure Fence Act. Through this act, 700 miles of fencing would be put up along the Mexican border. Later on, President Donald Trump would come into office and would strongly push for more border control with his signature slogan, "Build a Wall." After he took office, Trump would immediately sign executive orders to strengthen and extend the wall. When President Biden took office, one of his first actions was to sign an executive order stopping wall construction. So why do so many people want a wall? Well, with the wall, you don't have to cover every inch of the border to protect it. It makes policing it a much more manageable task. One of the main reasons for its construction is to prevent illegal aliens who have been previously imprisoned, sex offenders, and known drug lords from entering the United States. According to Congress.gov, the majority of victims of human trafficking in the United States are immigrants, particularly immigrant women. The Department of State estimates 57,000 victims were trafficked into the United States each year beginning in 2016. Nearly 2 million migrants were apprehended along the U.S.-Mexico border in 2021, and that figure only includes those who were apprehended by border officials. Among the gotaways, there are almost 400,000 additional migrants who escaped capture. Another regrettable record was set last year, where 122,000 unaccompanied migrant children were brought into U.S. custody out of a total of 147,000 who entered the country. The previous record was 69,000. In 2022, there were over 80,000 deaths due to opioid overdose. The wall is a huge deterrent to all of this by reducing flow of illegal drugs across the border. In addition, Mexico will sometimes release criminals because they don't want them, and as a result, they make their way into the country. So why do some people not want a wall at all? Well, one big reason would be the expense. The border wall cost over $21 billion. This is 5 times more than what was originally estimated by Trump, and all this money is coming from taxes paid by U.S. citizens. A wall also does not last, so it must be repaired over time, which would add additional expense every year. People believe the money spent on the wall can also be used for better alternatives, such as advanced surveillance technology and more Border Patrol agents. People also claim that the wall just hasn't been very effective, with the amount of crossings almost doubled from 2018 to 2019, though it remains incomplete at this stage. The wall also excludes people who are just trying to seek a better life. Mexicans face many hardships with different crimes like drug trafficking being rampant in Mexico. Illegal immigrants actually help the economy by filling labor positions not aggressively sought after in the U.S. For instance, it has been estimated that they represent 30% of construction workers in the U.S., and according to the Center of Migration Studies, undocumented immigrants pay $59.4 billion in federal and $13.6 billion in state and local taxes in 2022. Undocumented immigrants also paid $25.7 billion in Social Security taxes, $6.4 billion in Medicare taxes, and $1.8 billion in unemployment insurance in 2022. Personally, I believe there is a need for the wall. The cost of the wall is more than worth it when it saves so many lives in terms of addiction, sex trafficking, murder, and opioid addiction. These things you can't put a price on. The border wall is a necessity when it comes to the safety of Americans.